All right, everyone, get ready for this. Today we're diving deep into Rosslyn Chapel
Rosslyn Chapel, yeah.
in Scotland. You know that place.
I do, yes.
Practically overflowing with mystery and legend,
Absolutely.
Knights Templar,
Uh-huh.
hidden treasures,
Right.
the Holy Grail, the whole
The
shebang.
whole 9 yards, yeah. It's got it all.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Our sources are saying that while these legends are definitely captivating, hard evidence is, well, it's often missing.
Right, and that's what makes it so interesting,
Yeah, exactly.
dive into.
Yeah.
We're going to explore the allure of the unknown.
Right.
But, we have to try and ground ourselves in history.
Exactly. So, for example, one source is talking about this popular theory about a hidden crypt under the chapel,
Okay.
potentially just, full of Templar treasures.
Right.
So can you tell me what the historical connection is between the Knights Templar and Scotland?
Well, the Knights Templar, they were a powerful force back in the day, a medieval order known for their military prowess and, yeah, their wealth.
Uh-huh.
And while their main headquarters were in Jerusalem, their influence, it spread across Europe.
Okay.
And Scotland was no exception.
So they weren't just like this mythical group.
Yeah.
They were actually in Scotland.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, there's evidence that suggests that Scottish King Robert the Bruce might have received support from the Templars during the Wars of Scottish Independence.
So imagine like this powerful military order just backing a king,
Yeah,
fighting for freedom.
exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about that other huge legend, though.
Okay.
The Holy Grail.
Yes.
Our sources are saying that there's no real evidence that it was ever at Rosslyn Chapel.
Right.
Why do you think this legend has stuck around for so long?
It's a great question. The Holy Grail is like a lot of these long-lasting legends.
Right.
It just seems to appear in the narrative of lots of different places,
Yeah.
especially places that are already kind of mysterious,
Right.
Rosslyn Chapel with all its mysterious carvings and its ties to the Templars.
Right.
It just makes sense.
It becomes fertile ground
Yeah, exactly.
for speculation.
It's the human fascination with the unknown.
I see.
It's the hope of finding something amazing
Right.
that keeps those legends alive.
And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good treasure hunt?
Right.
Even if it's just in our minds,
Exactly.
But even if we just forget about the Grail, forget about the hidden Templar gold,
Uh-huh.
Rosslyn Chapel still has some really incredible known wonders, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can't forget about the architecture.
Right.
Rosslyn Chapel's an amazing example of Gothic architecture.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of craftsmanship in those carvings is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's a place where history and art truly intersect.
Speaking of those carvings,
Yes.
maybe that's where we should head next in our deep dive.
Let's do it.
What do you say?
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
dive into those carvings. They're not just like decoration,
Yeah.
They're really a whole visual language.
Okay.
It's a way of telling stories,
Mm-hmm.
which was very common back in medieval times.
It's like they carved a giant graphic novel into stone.
Yeah.
But there are so many carvings.
Right.
Where do we even begin?
Well, I mean, some of them really stand out
Oh, yeah.
because of their size or where they're located or the stories that people have attached to them.
Right.
Like take the Apprentice Pillar, for instance.
Oh, yeah. The Apprentice Pillar. That's the one with all those crazy details, right?
Right.
So what's the story with that one?
It's this freestanding column,
Yeah.
and it's so elaborately carved. It's got spirals and flowers and leaves and even dragons.
Wow.
The legend says that the master mason who was in charge of building Rosslyn Chapel,
Uh-huh.
he went on this trip, a pilgrimage to Rome for inspiration.
Oh, wow.
And while he was away, his apprentice, he had a dream.
Like a vision
Right.
of this incredible pillar.
Uh-huh.
So he decided to, carve it.
Wait, so he carved this incredibly intricate pillar just based on a dream.
So that's what they say.
That's pretty bold.
It is, yeah.
What happened when the master mason got back?
Well, the story goes that the master mason was so blown away by what his apprentice had done.
I bet.
He was so overwhelmed
Yeah.
and consumed with jealousy that
Right.
let's just say the apprentice died.
Oh, wow. That took a dark turn.
It did.
Is there any truth to that story?
Mhm.
Or is it just like a legend?
With so many of the stories about Rosslyn Chapel,
Right.
it's really hard to separate fact from fiction.
Yeah.
But even if it's not true, it's still a cool story.
Right.
It just adds another layer to these already fascinating carvings.
It makes you think about the people who built this place.
It does, yeah.
You know, their ambitions, their passions. It's like all their stories are woven into the very fabric of the chapel.
Exactly. That's one of the things that makes Rosslyn Chapel so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's this tangible connection to the past. It reminds us that human stories, the big ones and the sad ones, they're literally etched into stone here. But these carvings aren't just about people's stories. They also give us this glimpse into what the culture and religion was like back then.
Okay, so we've got these biblical scenes, these pictures of nature. We've got symbols that maybe we'll never understand.
Yeah.
It's kind of a lot.
It is.
How can we even begin to make sense of it all?
Well, that's where things get interesting. We can look at these carvings and we can compare them to other art from that period.
Okay.
We can read the historical records.
Yeah.
But we'll never really be able to see these carvings the way the people who created them saw them.
Right.
All we can do is try to piece together the puzzle.
So even with all of our fancy technology,
Right.
Rosslyn Chapel will always be kind of mysterious.
Exactly. The unknown is part of what makes it so interesting. Right.
It reminds us that there are still things out there that we don't understand, but we shouldn't get too caught up in the mystery.
Okay.
I mean, Rosslyn Chapel is also architecturally brilliant.
Right. It's not just about the stories and the symbols.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful building.
It is.
What makes Rosslyn Chapel different from other Gothic buildings?
Well, Rosslyn Chapel is what we call late Gothic architecture.
Okay.
So that means it has elements of the earlier Gothic styles,
Right.
but it also has these unique features that make it different. One of the most striking things about Rosslyn Chapel is just how much ornamentation there is.
Right.
There's so much detail.
Yeah.
I mean, every surface, inside and outside, it's covered in carvings.
It's like they didn't want to leave a single piece of stone blank.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible to look at. It takes a while to appreciate it all.
Right.
Now, some people think that the carvings are like a code,
Okay.
like a secret language.
Yeah. Others think that they're just a reflection of what people believed and what was important to them back then.
Right.
There isn't a clear answer, which of course makes it even more interesting.
So it's a place that makes you think and makes you question what you know.
Exactly. And that's what makes Rosslyn Chapel so special.
Oh,
It
sure.
inspires and fascinates people,
Yeah.
no matter who they are or what they believe.
All right, so we've talked about the carvings and the architecture.
Yeah.
But we can't end this deep dive without talking about,
Right.
well, the elephant in the room,
Way?
the Knights Templar.
Yes.
It seems like Rosslyn Chapel and the Knights Templar are like inseparable.
It's true. They're basically linked together in popular culture. It's hard to think of one without the other.
Exactly. But where did this association come from?
Hmm.
Is there any actual historical evidence to support it?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this. Tell me everything.
So, remember how we were talking about William St. Clair? The guy who had Rosslyn Chapel built?
Yeah.
He was a knight, and his family had a really long history of military service.
Right, and there were all those rumors that they were connected to the Knights Templar.
Exactly. So there's definitely a family connection there, which is interesting on its own. But whether that actually means there's a direct link between the chapel and the Templars, that's kind of a mystery.
So we're back in speculation territory again. Are there any actual Templar symbols or artifacts in the chapel?
There are definitely some symbols in the chapel that some people think are connected to the Templars.
Okay.
But it's really hard to prove what they really mean.
Ah, so it's more about how you interpret things than about actual evidence.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which just makes it even more
It
intriguing.
really does. The fact that there's no definitive proof,
Yeah.
it just adds to the mystery.
Right.
And it makes people want to dig deeper, to look for their own connections and come to their own conclusions. That's part of what makes Rosslyn Chapel so captivating.
It's like a puzzle where some of the pieces are missing, but you still want to try to solve it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. But here's the thing. Even if we never figure out the whole Templar thing, Rosslyn Chapel still has something really amazing to offer.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the big takeaway here? If it's not about finding a secret code or buried treasure, what makes Rosslyn Chapel so special?
I think it's about embracing the mystery.
Okay.
It's about the wonder and the possibility. Rosslyn Chapel reminds us that there are still things in the world that we don't fully understand.
You mean like That feeling of awe you get when you walk into a place with so much history and so many legends.
Exactly. It's about not needing to have all the answers.
Right.
It's about letting yourself get swept up in the stories, the symbols, the atmosphere. It's about reconnecting with that sense of wonder that we maybe don't feel as much in our modern world.
I like that. So it's not about getting to the right answer. It's about asking the right questions. It's about the journey of discovery.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe while we're searching, we'll find something even more meaningful than what we were originally looking for.
This whole deep dive has been a really incredible journey for me. I feel like I've only just begun to understand what Rosslyn Chapel is all about.
And that's what's so great about it. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to think about. Rosslyn Chapel stays with you,
Yeah,
even after you've left.
right.
It makes you want to keep exploring on your own.
That's a perfect way to end this. We've covered so much today.
Mm-hmm.
History, legends, architecture, even philosophy. If there's one thing I hope our listeners take away from this deep dive, it's this.
Don't be afraid of the mystery. Let your curiosity be your guide. And don't worry too much about finding all the answers. Sometimes the best discoveries are the ones we make about ourselves.
That's beautifully said. So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never lose your sense of wonder. Until next time, happy deep diving.